Now that President Muhammadu Buhari is back to the country, the legitimacy of the caretaker leadership of his party, the All Progressives Congress, is one matter the president must confront. So much depends on his approval or disapproval. It is also not clear if President Buhari's intervention will make the issues that have fractured the party go away. My name is Femi Akonde. This is Politics on Sunday. I asked the Director General of the Progressives Governors Forum why it seems some people are shut out of the affairs of the party by the Caretaker Committee. Now they are faced with a legitimacy crisis and relying on different interpretations of the law to prove their case. The party recently conducted its World Congress. A lot of people have said that that is a very rancorous issues. It has brought up so many issues, even though some members of your party are giving themselves a pat on the back for the success of that Congress. But some other people say it's just an attempt to paper over the cracks. What do you say?
Well, I don't think there is anything beyond the ordinary that has happened. Politics is about contest. You can't have contest where there are no disagreements in the first place. So I think sometimes we try to oversimplify or try to blow issues out of proportion simply because we want to make a point. However you look at it, and it's not just a Nigerian factor, it's a global factor. Contest in politics will always come with loud noises, strong disagreements, sometimes even conflict. We are emerging, and this is the point people have to remember, we are emerging from a situation since 2019 electoral contest whereby there were very strong leadership disagreement within the party. The dissatisfaction that led to the removal of the National Working Committee under the leadership of Comrade Adams Oshumole was basically the inability to attend to those issues that were there since the 2019 contest. And conventionally, since 1999, and it's not just, again, a Nigerian factor, generally all over, people who want to contest election want to control the structures of party. And the effort to rebuild the party is witnessing those contestations by individual and not necessarily at national level, even at local level. People who want to contest House of Assembly, people who want to contest House of Reps, people who want to contest Senate governorship are struggling to control structures of the party. And what level is the foundation structure? And that is where the thing has, the Congress has started.
But it appears as if that foundation is shaky.
No, it's not. Go back and remind yourself what happened in 2014 when this party emerged. The party went through the same issues. There were strong contests. I remember very well. For instance, I come from Kaduna. Both my ward and the state congress was delayed. Our state congress was almost the last that took place before the national convention. And it's all because of a number of these contestations. Now, I keep making the point, leadership is not popularity contest. The leadership at national level, their responsibility is to sort out all the problem, all the disagreement. They have issued guidelines before the congresses. And the reference point in terms of the resolution of all the issues is whether people have complied with the guidelines or not. And that is where leadership is required to make pronouncement. And I have confidence that those pronouncements will even be made before we get to the next level, which is the local government congresses. And certainly after the local government congress, it will also come with its own issues. Now, that is why it is politics. These issues will keep happening. And we can play it up. Even parties that are not conducting leadership contests, are not are not organizing congresses, they're having issues.
Yeah, but just before that Congress, the Supreme Court delivered a judgment in favor of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, but there was a split decision. The minority of the justices of the Supreme Court argued or queried the propriety of a sitting governor as the caretaker chairman of the All Progressives Congress. And some people, even within the APC, called for a suspension or a delay of the world congresses so that issues would be resolved. But it appears as if the party, in its own wisdom, decided to go ahead with all of this, but it didn't sit down well with so many people. There are still so many issues to be resolved.
Well, first, you see, the issue is that we must be clear. You know, sometimes we give ourselves powers we don't have. My understanding is that the matters of law are very serious, very important. I don't believe the leadership of the party will take any decision without the necessary legal consultation to arrive at the decision they arrived. Now, if there is a judgment, as a lay person, I'm not a lawyer, and I always make the point, I'm not a fan of going to court, you know, because once you do that, you don't have any say. You subject yourself to due process. Whatever the court say, whether you like it or not, you have to accept it. Now, it's not for me as a lay person to use my own personal interests to interpret the law. And I think that is what is happening dominantly, including even people who are lawyers. Now, I believe if I have a say within the structures of the party on a matter as sensitive as that of law, is not to go public. For me, is to engage leadership to try to ensure that I counsel them, I advise them to do the right thing in order to, because you see, I'm worried really in the sense that if you look at what is going on in the country generally, there is what I call some level of madness. We believe what we want must be the ultimate. And in the fight to get what we want, we basically sacrifice every other person. We don't have that sense of sacrifice. And at this point, I think if I'm a party member, and this is where a number of us have to really see beyond our personal vested interests, whether it is about aspiring to contest for election or aspiring to become appointed in government, we must see it beyond that. As far as I'm concerned, if there is a court judgment, the party structures have the capacity and necessary competence to do the necessary consultation to comply with the provision of the law. I will want to wait to see that at the end of the day, the court pronouncement is not, to the best of interpretation that I have read across, I don't think I should worry myself too much.
There's this impression that a lot of people are shut out of the affairs of the party. That is why we are beginning to see some of these memos, some people's opinion.
Exactly. Now you are hitting the nail on the head. Because as journalists, and this is the point I keep making, when somebody says the caretaker committee doesn't have certain powers, the question to ask, what is driving the person to make that kind of allegation? And if the driving factor is about condition based on the guideline or based on the procedure that make it necessary for the caretaker committee to relate to certain people. I think the best thing is to ensure that that person go back and renegotiate. Look, let's come back to the Congress in terms of whether it should take place or not. Long before the Congresses, the whole debate, and this is the point, we have moved out of rationality. When some of us are crying about the need for reconciliation within the party, it was presented as if we are working for certain vested interests in the leadership of the party against other leaders of the party. And as far as I am concerned, whether reconciliation take place or not, I have, as a person, I have nothing to lose. But of course, I can also argue I have everything to lose if this party go down. I have everything. We are where we are because the party has won elections. If leadership become reckless, to the extent that we are losing ground, we are losing grip, winning election is becoming almost impossible, then we should all be concerned. Those who are raising issues about congresses, about court judgment, they are not seeing the bigger picture.
What is the bigger picture?
The bigger picture is about whoever is the candidate of the party should be able to win, meaning that the party has a very good rating in the eyes of Nigerians. That is the bigger picture.
What is this thing we're hearing about a consensus candidate, and that means people's interest would not be considered?
No. That is not correct. From what I witnessed, like I said, I'm an active member. I'm not sitting in Abuja. I went back to my ward for the ward congress. And I'm not even ranked as a stakeholder in my ward, or in my local government, or in my state. I'm just telling you what I observe. In the past, what used to happen, process of election, the one with the muzzle, whether financial muzzle or whatever, take everything. But based on the strategy put in place, people are forced to go and sit down. Every stakeholder is recognized, and in a ward, there are about 27 officials. There are some sharing formulas that have been considered. Now, where you see people crying, and this is the point as journalists you must see beyond, is that somebody believes I must have the chairman, I must have the secretary, I must have the treasurer. And that is no longer given. And then the person insists that then they go out to delegitimize what has taken place. As far as I'm concerned, the process of negotiating the consensus has made it almost impossible for one power bloc in a ward to control all the officials of the party. And that is the positive. Of course, it has its disadvantage.
Which are?
One of the disadvantages will be that if I want to contest for maybe House of Reps or even House of Assembly, and I need to control all the delegates, I can't control it. These are basically the underlying issues. And for me, what I keep arguing, go and read all my writing, is that Nigerian democracy must rise to the level where negotiation is very strong. It shouldn't be a case that people come with strong muscle, whether on account of the money they are able to have, and buy everybody, and therefore every other person become a loser. Now, of course, I always make the point that nothing is perfect in APC. But the good thing is that out of the imperfection, our leaders are conscious of the problems, and they are not in denial. When leaders are in denial, that is when you have big problem. And I think that is where we are as a party.
Yeah. Recently, your party recorded what some people or party members would call successes with the new entrants, governors, some senators, lawmakers, and all of that. And then we hear some of them making statements like, because of the security situation in my state or in my area, that is why I am joining the APC so that I can partner with the federal government to have all of these things sorted. And people are asking that, does that mean if you belong to another party, you will not get the full support of the federal government? Is that the case? Because that is what...
Well, I think as a journalist, you should be able to provide that answer. What is really the case on ground? Is it a case that there is a preference being shown to APC state because the federal government is controlled by APC?
It seems so.
How? Because look at the flashpoints. All the flashpoint doesn't suggest that APC states are given any preferential treatment. Whether you look at Kaduna, you look at Katsina, you look at Niger, these are APC states. And recently, Kebbi has been attacked. And if you go to down south, whether it is Ondo, or even Imo, these are APC states. So sometimes you see the problem, and that is, I'm just working on a document now. One is, what is very glaring coming out is the fact that we have chosen as a people to be decidedly negative. Even where we've seen objective reality that suggests things is our own attitude and the need for us to be positive that determine how we can move forward. We choose just to be negative and look at, it's a blame game, we are all victims. That is the way it is constructed. Everybody is a victim. The only person that is not a victim is perhaps the political leadership. And even themselves, sometimes, depending on who you are talking to, they can tell you that they are also victims because people don't listen to them. I think as a nation, and that is what we must reorient in our democracy. We must begin to see things beyond our own narrow sentiments and have that kind of wonderful vision which make us to be committed in investing energy, resources, and time to create the kind of society we want.
But why is the APC harassing and intimidating other governors to defect? Because that is what the PDP governors...
Because that is what you choose to accept. Did you see APC going to harass governors?
The PDP governors...
If they have said so, for me, if you have said so, as a journalist, you should go beyond it. Let them present the evidence. Look, we have lived until 2015. We have lived for 16 years as opposition party. I can give you a typical example. PDP federal government deliberately between 2011 and 2015 choose to use ecological fund to give PDP states 2 billion naira. We didn't use that. We know it's discrimination, but we didn't use that in a way that make us look helpless. Our governors continue to engage PDP federal government and insist. And I remember up to the time APC came in as a federal government, these issues are still there. But you can see, if you are talking, just go and look at the reform on federal roads. Rivers State, which is a PDP state, got over 70 billion naira, which is a substantial chunk of the total percentage that went to other states. Now, is that not sufficient to tell you if this government is a discriminatory government? will they have, nobody, they can sit on it. Nothing will happen. And go and see, check the Paris Club refund, even bailout. Now, people can play politics with anything, but it's up to us, and that is why, for me, as a citizen, I want to be positive. If PDP governors decide that the only thing they want to do is to play small politics by arguing that there are governors who are making voluntary decisions, they are being intimidated, and they fail to use their organization as a base to strengthen themselves to protect their governors, then I don't have anything to say on that.
But would the APC want a situation where all the governors, lawmakers, elected political members?
It's not true. Look, first, politics is a game of number, no doubt about it. Any politician who is not aspiring to increase membership is not a good politician. But if I can come to your house and just take your child, I mean, your child consenting to follow me, then you should ask yourself a question. As much as I can carry out an act of intrusion, which, depending on the application of the law, if I follow certain process, it may no longer be an intrusion. You also have a right to protect your child. So if you fail to protect your child to the extent that your child can make an independent decision to leave your house, I don't think you have any moral authority to complain against anybody.
The people are saying we have a governor running the affairs of the All Progressives Congress. Some people are saying, come to think of it, his state is suffering. He's elected to govern his state, not to run a party.
You see,
we must try to distinguish. Again, this is about our sentiment. To the best of my knowledge, there is no complaint from Yobe State. To the best of my knowledge. And sometimes we play this holier-than-thou attitude. We know better than everybody. We criminalize everyone. Leaders are always at fault. We don't see anything good. Assuming this person who is chairman of the Caretaker Committee and also a governor, assuming he doesn't give sufficient time in the work of the party in Abuja, he's still there, the complaint will be different. It will be about, you see, he's a governor, he doesn't even have time to attend to the issues in the party. So now he has found a way to balance himself to the best of my knowledge. He's running the state. I don't think there is any issue. And so long as it's a temporary appointment, I mean, it's not a question, it's not a permanent thing. That is my own understanding.
But nobody knows when they are tenure.
No. Look, I have raised issues on the need for us to move as quickly as possible and finish work, the Caretaker Committee. So you can't tell me that we are not all interested in getting them to finish their work. We are interested. The issue is that as much as we are interested, let's all show that commitment to ensure that they've done the work the way it should be done. I don't want, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not interested in a situation whereby we do hodgepodge approach. And at the end of the day, we come back to the same. We have useless leadership, which in the end, everybody will be complaining. Look, get it clear. And this is the point I want to make, and I hope it will be my last point, depending on how you. Democracy is about political parties. The unfortunate reality in Nigeria is that Nigerians see more about election. Nigerians don't worry at all in terms of how healthy political parties are. When it fits us, we want to celebrate political parties of the Second Republic, First Republic, but we are not ready to invest time, energy, and resources to ensure that today's parties in this Fourth Republic are organized in the same sophisticated way. And it will take us quite some time to get to that point. It's easier to destroy than to build. I started by telling you leadership is not popularity contest. Our leaders have to continue to swallow the very, very bitter pill of taking decisions that may not be popular, but in the end, those are necessary decisions that are required to stabilize our democracy.
That is our program for the week. You can watch it again on TVC News YouTube channel. Next week, we will continue the conversation around the politics of nationhood. Thank you for watching. My name is Femi Akonde.